Hi, I'm Giancarlo.
And I'm Felicia.
And this is our review of
Monolith.
Oh, you didn't look at the box this
didn't
time.
look at the
you
box
memorized the
this
name
time.
before. Probably because it was one word, so it was easy for you to remember. Because everything else is just like, think back, die.
In Monolith, players are placing dice on cards to take actions. In the box, you'll get dice and cubes for each player, a scoreboard to keep track of victory points, a Primus token for the first player of each round, gems, which are used to pay tolls on the score track, and 5 different sets of cards. The game is played up to 5 rounds. The first player to get to the victory spot wins, or the player with the most victory points at the end of the 5th round wins.
Before we begin with the setup, let me explain the type of cards in Monolith. The rune cards are the cards which will form the playing area. The top part will show you what type of die you can place there to do the action of that card. Some will activate as soon as you place your die there, others will activate in the final phase of a round. The fate cards are like rune cards but will have a greater impact on the strategy of a round, and there is only one among the 12 rune cards set up at the start of the game. The skill and power cards are effect cards you keep in your hand which do effects when played. Not all of these cards are discarded when played, only the ones which say so. And finally, the player power cards give each player 1 power per game. So now that you know the cards, let's set up the game.
To set up, place the score track on the table with the 4 deck of cards above it. They should all be shuffled except the round cards, which should be in order from 1 to 5. Each player chooses a color and places 1 cube on the start spot of the score track. They each get 3 dice of their color and a random player power card. The rest of the dice go under the score track. This area is called the source area. Here you will also place 5 gems for each player and the extra cubes. Now to set up the playing area. Place the 5 starting rune cards like so. Leave a space for 1 fate card in the 3rd spot. Now shuffle the fate cards and draw 1 to place in that spot. Now draw 6 rune cards and add them to the playing area to form a grid of 12 cards. This will be the playing area. Everyone roll to see who is the first player and he will get the Primus token. The other players get to choose if they want a gem or a skill card. You're now ready to play.
In a round you have 3 phases. First, the Primus will roll 2 dice and the total will cover up one of the cards on the board with the round card. Then each player will roll their dice and place them in front of them. That was phase 1. Phase 2 is player turns. In this phase, starting with the Primus, each player can play cards and place 1 die anywhere on the playing area, as long as that die is legally placed. If the card says immediately, then you do the action on that card. Play goes around the table until everyone has played all their dice. When you play a card, it stays in front of you unless it says to discard it. Once all players have played all their dice, phase 3 starts. This is where the actions of the cards take place in the order of the dice on the cards. So the first card is activated, and as players do that action, they take back their die from their card. When all cards have been activated, a new round begins. Players take all the cards in front of them back into their hand. If you have more than 5 cards, you must discard. Each player can now take 1 die of their color from the source, and the player with the Primus token removes the round card and roll 2 dice to place the next round card.
As you're playing the game and taking actions, you'll be gaining victory points and gems. When you want to enter a space with a number on it, you must pay that number in gems. If you can't, you stop there. Play for 5 rounds or until a player gets to the victory spot. At the end of the 5th round, each of your first 6 gems is worth 1 VP. The player with the most wins. Monolith is basically a dice placement game where you must use your strategy depending on the luck of your roll and the roll of others. You must pay attention to what they rolled and have a good memory to try and remember the skill cards of each player, as they get those back, and we'll play them again next turn. We really like that the board is different every game, which adds to replay value, and the quality of the cards and gems feel nice. Its lacking artwork and a theme would have been nice. Even a simple story explaining what Monolith is and why we are placing dice on ruins. We found the game is a lot more fun at 4 players since you get to block other players more often. The game should have some way of scaling to match the amount of players, the same way VT Culture does. If you find yourself being 4 players often and like dice placing games like Alien Frontiers and Ale Ecte Est, then you should try this one. It even has variant ways to play solo or with optional round powers. It's quick and easy with light gameplay and some good player interaction, but it's only good at 4 players. We're giving it a 6.5 out of 10.